creating a consistent, healthy eating habit can be a challenge. That's why I create structure by cycling through the same meals almost every day. Instead of reinventing what I eat each day, I stick with the basics that I love. Don't worry though, it's not nearly as boring as it sounds. Okay, maybe it is. So I want to share with you a day in the life of what I eat. I'll be providing some different examples for alternatives that I use to keep things interesting and to add variety, but this has been my primary diet for the past couple of years, and it's worked out really well for myself. Now, one big caveat, this is what works for me. These are specific to my goals, which are helping me to stay energized throughout the day, giving my body what it needs for my workouts, and also improving my longevity and hopefully increasing my lifespan. Knock on wood. Now, when it comes down to it, your goals, your preferences might be completely different, so use this as inspiration, see what works for you, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to experiment for yourself to figure out what diet is best for you. All right, let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. You can sign up today for a free trial. I'll talk more about them later in the video. So my day always begins with, well, you already know this part, so let's just get through this quickly. So for much of the past year, I've been inadvertently practicing intermittent fasting. It wasn't something that I set out to do, but it works really well for my schedule. I experimented with intermittent fasting for 30 days a little while back, and I made a video all about it, breaking down the benefits of intermittent fasting. The gist of it though is this. By fasting from 14 to 16 hours each day, we're giving our bodies a chance to rest. This improves our metabolic health, it increases our longevity, and it can even improve our gut health as well. There's a lot of great science to back it up. Those health benefits are good and well, but that's not the real reason why I do it. I do it because I found through trial and error that I just feel better not having a big breakfast in the morning. Some days though, I do snack on granola, cereal, and oatmeal. This is really only if I'm doing something physically demanding in the morning, but for the most part, I usually don't eat anything until 12 p.m. Coffee, water, that's primarily what I consume up until then. If I stop eating around 9 p.m., that gives me about 15 hours of intermittent fasting, at which point I'm ready for my first meal. Now, what are you making me for lunch?
We are gonna do a avocado chicken salad inside of pita. It's gonna be super healthy.
Natalie usually makes this for me because she's amazing in the kitchen, and yes, I'm contractually obligated to say that.
We're actually gonna poach the chicken, which I believe is the healthiest way to cook chicken. Zero oil involved. It's really just boiling the chicken. We're gonna add in some non-fat Greek yogurt, just plain. What that does is add some creaminess and just bulks up the sauce a little bit.
What is that tool?
This is a citrus squeezer.
Done.
You should try it just to make sure you know.
So Natalie's eating for two right now, but it's not because she's pregnant. Thank you. Other days for lunch, I might have a tuna pita or sardines. Due to the high levels of mercury in tuna, especially albacore, I limit how much I eat. That's usually about 1 or 2 cans per week. My secret weapon for my diet are my green smoothies. I have these just about every day. They're great right in the middle of the day. They give me a lot of energy, the vitamins and the nutrients that I need to keep me going, to keep me focused on my work. So the recipe is really simple. I start with 1 cup of water for the base, then I add lots and lots of spinach. By the way, this Vitamix blender, it's absolutely a beast, and one of the first purchases I made when I moved out of my parents' house about 8 years ago. Definitely worth the investment. Then I cut up 2 apples and 1 orange, making sure to keep as much of the white part of the peel as possible since it's packed with fiber and vitamin C. It actually has 2 to 3 times the vitamin content as the inner fruit itself. And then I'll top it off with 2 bananas. I always batch my smoothies by making 3 or 4 smoothies at a time and storing them in these green shaker bottles. I drink 1 right after blending them up and then save the rest for the next 2 days. I always try to have them within 2 days of making them. These days I work out around 2 p.m. or so to break up my day and to get my body moving in the middle of the day because I spend so much time at home. And during these workouts, I always drink a plant-based protein shake. This Vega Sport is my go-to, but I also change it up depending upon what's on sale at Whole Foods. Always chocolate flavored though. I go with a plant-based protein shake because I have a bit of a dairy sensitivity. I can have some dairy like Greek yogurt, but I have tried many of the dairy options when it comes to protein shakes, and it tends to upset my stomach, so I avoid it when I can. Okay, so let's talk about snacks. One of the biggest things I've done for my diet is to reduce the amount of snacks that I bring into the home. Our snack cabinet usually looks like this. Most of the time, the cabinet is filled with nuts, seaweed, and popcorn. We try to keep our snacks as low-cal as possible. Every once in a while, we bring in the trail mix and other kinds of nice snacks, but we try to do it in moderation because some of these snacks I'll go through in a day. It's 1,200 calories. I end up feeling like shit, and so it usually doesn't fulfill me in the same way that healthy snacks do. Now, dinner is the ultimate variable and the one meal each day that changes on a daily basis. Oftentimes, Natalie will cook the both of us dinner. I'm not very picky at all, so whatever she wants to cook me works for me. But most of the time, since we have very different diets and very different taste buds, we prepare different meals for dinner. When I'm making dinner by myself at home, I usually keep it very simple. I'll have my main source of protein, that's either chicken, steak, or fish. I'll have a side of quinoa or rice, and I'll have another side of vegetables. That's pretty much it. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I can get creative with Natalie. We can have fun every once in a while with some wild recipes, but for the most part, this is what I stick with. This is how I'm able to maintain a healthy diet day after day. Now, tonight I'm going to be making a steak. I'm gonna be using Tim Ferriss's recipe from the 4-Hour Chef. It's one that I use pretty much every time I make steak, and it's really tasty. Simply season the steak with salt and pepper, throw it on a piping hot skillet, get a good sear going to caramelize and hold in all those flavors. Then put the steak on a bed of rosemary and throw it in the oven at 350 degrees. After about 10 minutes or so, flip the steak to make sure it cooks evenly on both sides and add a little bit of butter on top. This will create an amazing jus at the end. Natalie taught me that word. Then I put a cooking thermometer in the steak and wait until it hits 125 degrees. While the steak rests for 5 minutes, I prepare the rest of my sides. I typically try to get as much unprocessed food as possible, but this frozen rice is just too easy to say no to. Throw it in the microwave, 3 minutes, and we're good to go. And then I'll saute up some kale, squeeze some lemon, salt and pep, Bob's your uncle. And of course, don't forget to make use of that jus. I'll cut up the steak, plate half for today, and save half for dinner tomorrow night. Medium rare. You know what's maximum rare? Beautifully designed websites. That's why I've been using Squarespace for years. Pretty good. Whether you're building a personal brand, starting a podcast, or creating a blog, Squarespace makes it effortless to create a beautiful and professionally designed website. Use their tools to get powerful analytics, to start a blog, to share your social media accounts, and so much more. Or keep things crazy simple like I do and set up a website with an email sign-up form to keep in constant contact with your audience. Whether you're looking to build a brand, business, website, or blog, I highly recommend you check out Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MattDiavella to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And now that's pretty much everything that I eat in a given day. Like I said, there is a whole lot of variation. We go out to eat quite a bit. When I'm really busy with work, I will order in. Usually I'll get a burrito bowl or a burrito for lunch. But this is kind of the core of my daily diet. Now, if there's one thing that I'm going to experiment with more in the future, it's going to be likely reducing the amount of meat in my diet. Now, I know this is probably going to be one of the top few comments. I know there's a lot of really passionate vegan and vegetarians in the audience, which is amazing. I did do vegan for 30 days. This was before I even really started the YouTube channel. I might experiment with that again. I do want to experiment with just kind of pulling back a little bit more, maybe having meat-free days or meat-free nights, whatever it is, trying to increase the amount of vegetables I eat. and cut down on meat just because it's better for the planet, and it may make me feel better. We'll see. That's what experimenting is all about. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you got anything from this video, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's anything that you found, any meals or recipes that you want to share down in the comments, I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Now I'm going to eat this. That's what I'm going to do right now. So, see ya.